Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talk About the Show, where I, your host, Alex Brown, talk about whatever it is I want to talk about, whether it be the hottest gaming news or the latest and greatest game releases. Talk About It is your one-stop shop for all of my thoughts and impressions on everything that's going on in the games industry, because that's the best show I have for it. It's the only show I have for it, so that's what it's going to be. And talk about the title, come on. It's so perfect, you could talk about literally anything, and I mean anything. But today, as you can see, I want to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And let me go ahead and preface this by saying, no spoilers whatsoever. Very top-level story mentions, because of course this game has been out for a week at this point. A lot of you, I'm sure, are playing it, are in the middle of playing it, or have already beaten it. But, of course, for this video, I'm not going to go into story spoilers, because, hey, not everyone has finished it. And some people, like I said, could be in the middle of it and they don't want to be spoiled. So, are in keeping with the non-spoil talk, I'm not doing any actual main stuff in this gameplay footage you're seeing. It is completely just side activity stuff, me swinging through the city. It's actually right before the mission that was the gameplay demo with the lizard. So we all know that part. So that's the part in the story this gameplay footage has been recorded. I have, of course, we're going to jump right into this, okay? I don't have anything else to talk about other than Spider-Man 2. I have a lot of stuff in the works, but we're not going to worry about that. We're done with Spider-Man 2. It's a big deal. Everyone's talking about it, okay? Spider-Man 2, like I said in the last video, the last review discussion video I made, I said, hey, going forward, maybe I'll do an outline for these type of videos to help out with, the structure of these videos. Because sometimes, like the title implies, I just talk about whatever it is I'm talking about for a while, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's more so just what comes to my mind at the time. And so I did consider doing an outline, but then I started typing it out, and I was like, man, I really feel like I'm being pigeonholed here. Like I'm being backed into a corner if I just have to follow these bullet points. I feel like no outline. It just lets me more. It's more freeing. It lets me spread my wings. Like this. It's a Spider-Man reference. Okay, you get it. But yeah, we're not doing any outlines. We're just talking about Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man 2. But yes, Marvel Spider-Man 2, of course, is one of the most hyped, if not the most hyped. Maybe not. It's definitely top 3 most hyped game releases of the year because, of course, it is a sequel to Marvel Spider-Man 2018, which, of course, was a blast. How many times did I say, of course, already in this video? Let me know. But, of course, like I said, being the sequel to a massive IP such as Spider-Man, of course, people are going to be in. People are already in with the original because, hey, it's Spider-Man and it's a game that is done very well. But to do it with a sequel and to also come off of Miles Morales being introduced in part 1, and then of course he had his spin-off game, and now he is in the forefront of this game as well as Spider-Man 2. It's because there's 2 Spider-Men, as they say. And Spider-Man 2, the first thing I can say, having replayed, remastered, and Miles Morales leading into it, is that, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what Insomniac did here with Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Yes, I'm going to say Marvel Spider-Man 2 every time because that is his official title, not just Spider-Man 2. So, But, yes, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is bigger and better than the previous games. And also, look at me. Because I had just played Remastered, I was like, hey, I am near Otto's old lab. So I looked at it, and that's what it looks like if you're curious. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. The game. On a whole, this game is the first time I've been so conflicted in terms of what is the score I'm going to give. And I have mentioned this before. I'm trying to give the score to these games earlier rather than later. And I'm doing it right now, right here. So you can hear the score and get behind my understanding about it later. Even though once you hear it, you're going to be like, great, I appreciate that score, see ya. But I'm gonna say it, this game, it's a 10 out of 10. I was so conflicted though. It's the most conflicted I've been when giving a game a 10 out of 10. I mean, I feel like I've given a lot of games a 10 out of 10 this year. That's just the kind of year it's been. I don't know if I have actually. Now that I think about it, I think there's 2 games I gave 10 out of 10 to: Starfield and Tears of the Kingdom, personally, of course. But now Marvel Spider-Man 2 can join the ranks for being a 10 out of 10 game for me personally this year. And yeah, like I said, I was conflicted between a 9 and a 10 though. But at the end of the day, when you take the game as a whole, I have to give it a 10 out of 10 because it does everything it does so well. There's not a single point in the game where I was like, this isn't great. I don't like what's happening. I always at least enjoyed my time with the game. I was never annoyed, which, is not that incredible of a thing to do for a game, but it's just so good at what it does. I don't know how best to better articulate that, in the sense that, of course, if you've played any of the Spider-Man games, it is all of that same stuff, but more and better improved. Everything from the swinging, the combat additions, the combat abilities, everything just feels like amped up and just all around makes it a more entertaining, a more fun, more fulfilling package as a game. Because, of course, if you've been following along, you might know my thoughts on Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, a game that I also gave a 10 out of 10 to, because it's just that good, Of course, that is not playing it at the time it released and playing it, like remastered and perfect and bug-free and all of that stuff. So, of course, that's why I gave that a 10 out of 10. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is also deserving of that because the scale is doubled. As the title suggests, there are 2 Spider-Men. And think about all of those set pieces from Marvel Spider-Man 1. You got things like the Fisk takedown in the opening of that game. Now imagine that with 2 Spider-Men. But, of course, Fisk is just one guy. What's 2? Everyone knows, okay? Everyone knows. Everyone who's watching this at least knows about the Sandman intro, okay? So I can talk about that. I know I said there's no spoilers. I lied a little bit. There's a little bit. But everyone's seen it, okay? Everyone's talking about it. Sandman, how the game intros with the Sandman versus the 2 Spider-Men. That's just the intro. It only goes up from there, okay? So it's a 10 out of 10 game. The only issues I thought would bring it down were things like the classic Insomniac editions of, oh, and here's this mini game you can do, and here's this mini game you can do. Like how in Spider-Man Remastered, excuse me, I apologize, in Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, there was, of course, also I'm talking specifically about Remastered because I never played it on the PS4, so, which we'll circle back to in a second. But with things like the science puzzles with like the frequencies and the wavelengths or whatever in Otto's lab, all of that stuff is still here, and I had a lot of fun with it though. I don't remember really enjoying doing those like pipe. It was like wavelength stuff, frequency stuff, and like pipe. The pipe game. Those are the science missions in the science mini games in Remastered, and I feel like in Marvel Spider-Man 2 they are a lot more intriguing, more entertaining as puzzles, because that is what they are still. They're puzzles. They're little puzzles for you, okay? And it makes me feel smart, okay? Because, of course, Peter Parker solving these science puzzles makes you feel like a little smart boy sometimes, Because if he's solving this thing because he's super smart, it makes me feel super smart. That's what I'm trying to say. Things like that were fun in this and not cumbersome and, it didn't slow down the experience for me, unlike the other ones where it's just like this thing. The science puzzles in this feel more creative and not things that we've done before in lesser games, It felt more original, so I feel like it added to the experience rather than hindered it, like I would have thought it might have, if that made any sense. When I saw that they were included, I was like, ooh, this might not be great for the game, but it overall ended up not being too shabby. And then, of course, we do have things that people didn't like in Remastered, or Spider-Man 2018, like the Miles Morales slash Mary Jane stealth missions. They're here too, but way better. They're so good, okay? They're very, very good. Like, the same thing with the science puzzles. When they first appeared, I thought, ooh, this might not be great. When the first Mary Jane stealth mission appeared, I was like, ooh, this might not be great. I can't believe that they're still doing this when people were very adamant about how much they did not like it in Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered slash 2018. Marvel Spider-Man 1, okay? That's what we'll call it. I was shocked to see that they're still here when people very clearly said that they did not like them. But Insomniac, they said, we hear you, and we don't care. We're going to prove to you why we should have these. And they did. And it was so much fun. Honestly, there are parts in the story where I was like, ooh, I hope I'm going to do an MJ mission right now. I hope that is what's about to happen. And when it did, I was so thrilled. It feels like The Last of Us. I know what you're thinking. Whoa. Insomniac making a The Last of Us like thing? Could get out of here, kid. Who are you? I know what you're thinking, right? That's what you were thinking. Go ahead and put it in the comments below and leave a like on the video as well. I didn't tell you that at the beginning, so of course, do it still. But yeah, there are parts where MJ's missions feel like I'm playing The Last of Us. And I'm like, man, you know a game I never played that I probably should? The Last of Us Part 2. It's been sitting on my shelf since I got a PS5, and maybe one day I'll play it. Who's to say? Maybe Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the push I needed. Because, man, those missions were fun, and I really enjoyed them, and it made me go, man, this is what Perfect Dark should be. Take notes, Xbox. It's really good. And, yeah. Other things that I thought would overall bog it down were things in that similar vein where side activities, side content would be not Spider-Manning. I don't want to spoil anything, of course, because if you have not done side content, I wouldn't want to spoil that for you. But things where you're not actually... There's a lot of times where you're not Spider-Manning in this game, and I thought that would overall bring down the experience for me, but they were quick enough and fulfilling enough that it did not feel that way at the end of the day. And those moments, those 10-15 minute moments, cannot be the reason this game gets a 9 instead of a 10 when you look at the overall package, because like I said, this game, it does everything that the previous games does, but doubles it, sometimes triples it in a lot of cases. Like I said, with the set pieces being as big and massive as they are in just the intro alone, and it only goes up from there. Things like I don't know what else was there. This is a really cool segment where I was just doing some stealth stuff. It was really fun. The stealth in general is a lot of fun in terms of combat. Let's talk about the combat for a second. There are a lot of new additions, or changes rather, to the combat, where you don't have your big radial wheel anymore of your web gadgets with web bomb, impact web, concussion blast, all of those. I'm gonna cough for a second. I'll probably edit it out, but give me 1 second. I just coughed. Anyways, you don't have your whole radial wheel of gadgets anymore. It's just those 4 that you see at the bottom there. Let me hover over it, because that's what I can do with this new out overlay. Okay, it made the thing pop up, but you see what I'm pointing at. It's over there. You got those on either side. One of them is your combat abilities, and the other side is your weapon gadgets, combat gadgets. That's right. And at first I was like, ooh, I don't know how I'm going to like that, because having replayed Marvel Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, of course, Miles Morales was essentially this version of the combat, but scaled down. It wasn't big yet, because of course Miles Morales, if you remember, the radial wheel was still there, but it was only those 4 options for your gadgets. They went on to streamline it in Marvel Spider-Man 2, as you can see with the R1 plus the button mapping, which makes a lot of sense. I hope my chair wasn't too loud just then. But yeah, like I was about to say before I talked about Miles Morales, I thought it was going to be a bummer. I thought it was going to suck that I didn't have my web bomb and impact web, all that stuff. Because when you have those fully upgraded and stuff in Spider-Man Remastered, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, Marvel Spider-Man 1, you can just decimate so many enemies so fast. You throw a web bomb at them, concussion blast, they're on the wall. Everyone's on the wall. And I use that a lot because I guess at the end of the day, maybe this is controversial, but maybe I just didn't enjoy the combat all that much in Marvel Spider-Man 1, looking back on it, because I would try to do it as quickly as possible with the web bomb and concussive blasts, like I mentioned, that would just, stick him to the wall instantly and, end combat sequences as fast as possible. But with those tools not here, and I had to rely on other gadgets and abilities, which we'll soon get into, I found myself really enjoying the combat. And there was also a new parry, action. A parry. I love a good parry, and I think the parry is very good in this. Took some getting used to, of course, because at first I did have an issue with the fact that the parry icon is the same as the dodge icon. There's like no difference, so sometimes you'll go for a dodge but you should have parried, or you should have parried when you dodge. That sort of thing will happen. Maybe I'm just bad at the game, who knows. I leveled up since then. I have completed the game. I should mention that. I should have said that earlier. I have completed the game. Oh, hey, how's it going, gamers? Just had to stop by real quick after editing this, of course. It always happens. I realize I didn't mention the freaking boss fights. They're really good. They're really good boss fights. They also use the parry system a lot, the dodge system, all of that stuff. It's really cool. Whereas in Marvel Spider-Man 2018 remastered, Miles Morales, whatever you want to call those, the boss fights were a lot of just webbing up your enemies and then, throwing yourself at them. Marvel Spider-Man 2 definitely does a lot to make the boss fights much more exciting and much more engaging all throughout. And I just could not live with myself if I didn't bring that up. So I had to put this in the edit real quick. But anyways, back to the video at hand. I said that earlier. I have completed the game, but look at this photo mode. Like I said, the stealth section was really awesome because I just webbed them all up on this web line, which is a new addition, web lines, where you can essentially set up web lines throughout a level, an area, to make stealth takedowns way easier. As you can see, I demonstrated very well there, and I'm trying to get the perfect shot because it's a very comical thing to see that many bodies. So that's what I'm working on there if you're curious. But like I was saying before I got distracted, I did mention the stealth just then. That was cool. But I was talking about the parry and how, moving on from the parry to just combat in general. Yeah, it's good. It's good. And you also have combat abilities like for Peter Parker. Why am I saying Peter Parker? For Peter, he has his spider arms, or as we all know, it's not a spoiler, at some point he gets the symbiote suit. And that will also be his combat abilities, which is the left bumper, L1. Sorry, I usually play Xbox. Shout out to PlayStation, or not shout out to PlayStation. Shout out to Spider-Man 2 being the third reason this year I've turned on my PS5. The other two, of course, being Final Fantasy 16 and Baldur's Gate 3. This is the third time I've turned on my PS5. All year. But, yeah, so you have those combat abilities, which are really cool. Of course, spider arms, iron spider arms, and the symbiote for Peter. And Miles has his electrical abilities, which at first glance, when you hear, oh, Peter Parker is going to get the symbiote suit, that's going to suck to play as Miles, because Miles has got what? He's got electricity? Cool. Awesome. Wow. Hey, those electricity abilities, they get pretty cool, okay? They get pretty cool. At the end of the day, they're not better than the symbiote, but you know what I mean. They're pretty serviceable. Let's talk about these two characters for a second as well. And also, I need to circle back to something I said earlier. I've only played Spider-Man Remastered, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, not the PS4 version. So Peter Parker's face. People are always talking about his face. As you can see on the thing. No, you don't see this when I do that. But you can see on the... over here. There's his face. I'm pointing up at it. Hey. Looks fine to me. Looks just fine to me. I never saw the other face. I don't know who the other guy is. So, a lot of people talking about it. How they don't like his face still. Get over it is what I have to say to that. I like his face. This has been his only face. Although I will say, going from, like I have said 1,000 times already, going from directly, because I played, like, legitimately, I played Remastered and Miles Morales up to the wire of Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, excuse me, release. I played, like, I finished my replay of Miles Morales, what is it, Wednesday morning? And of course, no, I finished Miles Morales Thursday morning, and Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, excuse me, came out Thursday night. So yeah, I was very close to the wire. So of course, back to back to back, it was a big difference going from, like, in Remastered, Peter's face is very different from what his face looks like in Marvel Spider-Man 2. I keep messing it up. I apologize. In Marvel Spider-Man 2. Like, it's the same face model, clearly, but, like, the difference in texturing and actual facial animations they got going on is insane, okay? It took some getting used to, of course, because it was a much more simplified face in Remastered and Miles Morales. So when it had a lot more going on, better lighting and all of the better tech behind it, it just looked much different because of how much better they're able to make it look. Same goes with MJ in this game, who you cannot tell me that they are telling us that it's the same face model as Spider-Man Remastered, but if you look at the two of them, they look completely different, okay? Maybe it is the same face model. They look completely different and no one's talking about it, but whatever. I thought it also took some getting used to. I feel like it was a weird thing where MJ in Remastered was, like, cute, and in Marvel Spider-Man 2, she's just hot. And it's just like, what happened in those 2 years, you know? You know, I know that she's like a model in some iterations, but she's not in this. So it's like, hey, maybe who knows? Who knows what's going on? But what else is there to talk about? I know there's a lot to talk about still. Let's talk about Kraven and Venom. Of course, no details, no story, actual talk about stuff there. But let's just say I was very, very satisfied with both of them, very much so, because of course they are the main antagonists in this game, because every piece of marketing material would lead you to believe that, and hey, it's true. Okay? And they were really cool. I really enjoyed both of them very much. And in a lot of cases, I wish we had more of both of them. It'd be so cool. You know, we'll see. Well, who knows where we'll go from here. That's all I gotta say. But, yeah, they're really cool. I really like them. I really like the story. I'm just thinking about, like, story moments right now. If you know, you know. Hey, you know. Maybe I'll do a video again about spoiler talk at some point. Because there's a lot to talk about story-wise that I would love to. But obviously can't in this because it's a review discussion. Not a spoiler discussion. Maybe next time. But, yeah, the villains were really good. Side content also very good. Like I said, there was some of the side content does, you know, like, take you away from the Spider-Maning of it all. But it's in a cool way, okay? It's very cool, I think. And a lot of side content definitely leaves the door open for potential things like a Miles Morales 2 or things that could very well be a Marvel Spider-Man 3. That's what in the side content. So, hey, don't miss out on the side content. Yeah, what else is there to say? I know there was something else I wanted to talk about or that was non-spoilery about this game, top level stuff. What was it? It's going to bother me so much because I know pretty much every time I do one of these videos of any kind, after I finish recording it and uploading it, I go, ah, man, I ain't even mentioned you know. Oh, Harry Osborn is in this game, as we know. We all know he's in the trailers. And what was I about to say? I think it's the details in the facial sculpting, facial animations, all the details they got going on there. When you see Harry Osborn and you see Norman Osborn, you're like, those two are so related. Like, it's crazy how related they are. Like, in a lot of games, they just look like two character models, you know? You know how it goes. But in freaking this game, it straight up looks like they are actually they are actually related, and it's cool. It's a really small thing, I'm sure, but I just thought it was really cool. That's just how like good the facial animation stuff is. Let's skip over to some Miles gameplay because I do have both of them. Okay, no favoritism. There's a lot. I have enough. I recorded, as you saw, an hour and 30 minutes of footage. I have gameplay for both. But yeah, like I did say, I did complete this game. I think I said that. Like I said in the last video, I talk for a long time. I don't remember what I've said, okay? I just talk. But I have completed this game, 100% of this game, and last time I checked my PlayStation, it said my playtime was 21 hours, which I don't think is right. To platinum this game, it felt a lot longer than that. That's another big piece of discussion that's going around the streets right now. The Twitters, yes, I said Twitter. What are you gonna do about it? Where people are like, "Oh, the $70 experience is way too short it's too short to be a $70 AAA game." Blah 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 blah. Spider-Man 1 was longer than this game. Blah 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 blah. And to that I say, shut up. You know, what are you talking about? This felt like a very full game. It's a very full game filled with content. There's no shortage of content. You don't feel like you're being chipped or shortchanged in any capacity. Everything either feels like a complete story or, hey, the door is open for a sequel or a spin-off. That sort of thing, like they have done in the past. And people are saying that the first one had more content. The first one had more bad content. You know what I mean? Like, everything in Spider-Man 2 is much more piecemealed in a way, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is much more piecemealed in a way that is more digestible and is just more thrilling all the way throughout, instead of just all of the pigeon catching you did in Spider-Man 1, Marvel Spider-Man 1, But yeah, all of that sort of stuff. It's the same amount of content, but everything from like the loss of load time. Load times don't exist anymore in this game, by the way. As you can see, I'm fast traveling. That was it. You know, you've done it, I'm sure. It's instantaneous, essentially. Maybe not instantaneous. It's like 1 second. Also, this Mysterium sucks, and I hate it. I never finished it in this gameplay footage, but I did eventually after I upgraded. Because I haven't been upgrading any of my abilities, any of my suit tech. But I eventually got the gold, okay? Don't worry about it. It's going to look really bad for a second. But I did do it. And that, to talk about the side content again, I really like how Miles Morales is handled in this game. I do, at the end of the day, feel like there should be more from him. Of course, this is Marvel Spider-Man 2, and since we had Miles Morales, we already had like a lot of Miles Morales content, and we haven't seen much new Peter content in a while. So of course, as we all know, that's why Peter is essentially the focus of this game. But it does make me go, hey, are you gonna do a Miles Morales 2? Because that would be pretty neat, you know? I would like that because, of course, like I said, this is a Peter-centered or a Peter-centric story. Of course, it's the Venom symbiote thing going on. Of course, that's a Peter-centric story. So it made me go, Miles is definitely the side character in this, and I would like to see maybe a Miles Morales 2 do this sort of thing where it is you can play as Peter and Miles, but what was I saying? But of course, it is a more Miles focused thing, and that whole train of thought are sprouted from the Mysteriums, where they are a Miles locked activity where you can only be Miles for these activities, and Mysterio talks to Miles instead of, Peter. And I like how the villains react to Miles as a Spider-Man over Peter as a Spider-Man, because it's interesting, because they know he's the new guy, but they still are like, hey, you are also Spider-Man, and we understand what a Spider-Man means and that whole thing. And it's cool, and I would like to see that like pushed forward in a Miles Morales 2 perhaps. Also, since we're talking about this Mysterium also caused my game to crash like 6 or 7 times. I don't think the gameplay footage shows any of that. Definitely, I don't even. What button am I pressing? Remember when I said I have to figure stuff out? Okay, okay. But whenever I tried to reload the thing, it would sometimes crash. Like this black screen is really long. It's not loading. It's that the game crashed, and then the gameplay or the capture footage. It didn't show the like dashboard, the PlayStation dashboard. I was on the dashboard right here, and I'm booting back into the game right now. It crashed a lot. Oh, there you go. It did show it. I didn't realize that. That was me waiting. But yeah, it crashed a lot when you try to, reboot or reload a checkpoint often. Things like that. It was annoying, but it was only so annoying because of the Mysterium was annoying me. Because as you can see here, from me pressing the button, or from me getting kicked out and going back into the game, it's like the same length of a normal loading screen, so it didn't take long at all to get back into it. It didn't bog it down the overall experience. But let's get past all of that Mysterium crap, because geez Louise, it took a while. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I said, 10 out of 10, a very conflicting 10 out of 10. Like if I did a 20-point scale with 9.5s, with like 8.5, 9.5, 7.5s, things like that, it would very easily be a 9.5. No qualms about that. But like I said, the issues I do have, the smallest issues I have with this game, they simply aren't enough to bring it down to a 9 instead of a 10. So hey, Marvel Spider-Man 2, 10 out of 10. Insomniac knocked it out of the park once again in all fronts. From the story, the side content is great. All of the characters are characterized very well. MJ's missions are so cool in this. People I don't understand why people don't like them. They are so good in this. Honestly, hey, I would be down for an MJ spinoff. Let's do it, okay? What was she doing in Symkaria in between during the events of Miles Morales? What was she doing? Because remember, the line that she says when she gets her stun gun is "Sable taught me well," or something like that. I don't know. Either way, at the end of the day, I would give me a whole DLC centered around that. I'd be really cool. I like it a lot. But yeah, I'm wrapping things up, and usually when I wrap things up, I end up thinking about 17 other things. So, hey, maybe this is the end of the video. Maybe I'm gonna keep going. You'll know because you see the runtime. But yeah, the swinging also is really cool. Web wings. Oh my god, look at me go. This is me just showing off as well. Yeah, like I did a lot of side content. I kind of want to do the main story now, so I was like, let me just get another good chunk of footage just in case. And here I am, just popping off with this amazing swing. It just feels so good, and the wingsuit, just the momentum in this game. No other developer could do this. I don't think it's insane. But yeah. Also, man, next up we have Wolverine. You think that's gonna come out next year? It could. It could come out next year. That's crazy. What is Wolverine going to be like? Because, like, looking at Marvel Spider-Man 2, just looking at all of the Insomniac Spider-Man games as a whole, rather, and then thinking about how this would translate to a Wolverine game, I'm like, how? Like, how are they going to do that? Very, very intrigued, because mobility, agility, and momentum, ma'am, is what that spells out. Those are like the core tenets of these Spider-Man games that they've done so far. And I just don't see Wolverine having those same core tenets. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to be like. Very hopeful, very excited, And because they have knocked it out of the park 3 for 3 now in terms of their Marvel licensed IP games. So look at Miles just dancing on this person's grave. Can you believe that guy? He is a menace after all. But yeah, it was really cool. Like I said, characters are cool. I really liked all the expanded takes on all of these characters, because of course, any other time we see Spider-Man translated in any medium, rather, or any mainstream medium. Essentially, I'm talking about the movies. Okay, it's cool to see it in a much longer form fashion in any way. Does that make sense? I just like seeing longer stories with these superheroes. And I didn't say this earlier, but I'm going to say it now. If anyone's still around, hey, how are you? Type in the comments Gouda if you are this far in. I appreciate that. This game is such a sequel. I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but when you look directly comparing it to, because of course, MCU movies, even the DC EU movies, when you look at those comic book movies, okay, how segmented the sequels feel in a lot of ways. Like if you look at Thor: The Dark World to Thor: Ragnarok, those are completely different stories. Or from even like Spider-Man: Homecoming to Far From Home, completely different stories. Doctor Strange to Multiverse of Madness, completely different stories. This is such a sequel where things in the first game are followed up on and built out even more, and it's just really cool. It's refreshing to see that, because I feel like it's been a while since we've seen like a proper sequel to a superhero thing, instead of like and now this person is doing this, instead of and then this continued to happen sort of thing, if that made any sense. And one last thing I wanted to say, it was on the tip of my tongue, but I lost it, is that I'm hoping I'm going to find it. If I just keep talking out loud, I'll remember what I was about to say. It is such a sequel. It's such a sequel. That's what I was talking about. MCU. Oh man, it's gone, and it's gonna bother me so much because I'm gonna end this recording and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what it was. I'm just gonna sit here for a second. I'm gonna edit out the in between because I have to remember it. I was talking about oh, I remember it. The last thing I wanted to say is that if you're still here, this definitely is something I should have said way earlier. That in a lot of ways, it is a predictable Spider-Man story. Like a lot of things that you have predicted to happen, they're going to happen. Like a lot of things that happen in Spider-Man stories, they happen. But a lot of things that you don't expect also happen. Does that make any sense? The way I heard it in my mind sounded more interesting than when I said it out loud. A lot of things that you may expect will happen, but a lot of things you won't expect will also happen. Am I making any sense? I don't think I am. Why did I? Was that even worth the wait of me trying to remember it? Oh, I remember the phrasing. Okay, I messed up my own phrasing. My mistake. A lot of things will happen the way you expect them to happen, but in a lot of times things will happen that you expect to happen, but in a lot of other times things will happen in a way that surprise you. I think that's the exact same phrasing. I'm just rambling now. But anyways, that's what I have to say about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. Great game. 10 out of 10 overall package. You cannot deny it. From everything, like I was saying earlier, I'm doing the recap thing I do when I say, when I'm wrapping up the video. I don't know if you've noticed that I do that. And then since I tried to end the video earlier, now I'm trying to end the video right now. I'm doing it again. But yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 game, like I said. From everything, from the scope, the scale, the characters, the story, everything about it just screams AAA experience on the highest level. From a technical level, from a narrative level, every level. Of course, there were a few things that would bring it down a little bit, but not enough to detract from an overall 10 out of 10. So yes, that's my thoughts on Marvel Spider-Man 2. Let me know what you thought about the game in the comments below. Have you finished it? Did you platinum it? What are your hopes for a sequel? Never mind, don't answer that one because there are going to be spoilers about that. We'll do that in another video. How about that? Deal? Deal. Cool. But for now, hey, that's going to be the end of the video. Stick around and watch some other videos that are on this channel, you know. Shout out to the 2 people who are watching this part right now. I did start a Loki talk about series. I'm self-aware enough to know that no one's watching that. 11 people watched the last one. I'm self-aware enough to know that's not doing numbers, okay? But I also still want to talk about Loki. So when the season is over, I'm going to do that. But if you were wondering, if you're here, you probably were wondering, okay? You're one of those 11 people. But yeah, for now, that's it. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, you know, prove it. Hit the like button. Let me know what you think of Spider-Man 2. Do you agree with my 10 out of 10? Do you think it's a 9 out of 10? I'd understand that, and I'd respect that if you think that. Hey, I don't know what the next video will be. I think the next video will be good old-fashioned news. I'll just pick a day out of the week. And since I've missed out on so much news, I'll just pick out random news stories from like the past month and talk about that. Just to catch up and then move forward from there. But yeah, I did consider... Was that the end of the gameplay? It is. Ooh. Oh, dear. My bad, y'all. My bad. I'm trying to end this video. Anyways, I did consider doing a Super Mario Wonder review, but I think the way I'm playing that game isn't really just like a straightforward way. I'm playing that game just for fun, not for review. And it's a great time also. I'd also give that game a 10 out of 10, a 10 out of 10 though, so if you're wondering, that's my thoughts on Mario Wonder. But for now, yeah, that's it. I'm rambling like I always do. If you hit the like button, thank you. I appreciate that. If you haven't, do it. Comment, subscribe as well. I should tell people to subscribe. I never do. But you should do that as well. Spider-Man 2, great game, 10 out of 10. All of that jazz and more. But that's all I have to say about this episode of Talk About. Until the next one, though, as always, stay safe and play some video games.